Hey, everybody, we're live. And that's how Drink Up goes. Welcome, everybody, on Saturday morning. We're live, raw, and real. Obviously, I thought I wasn't live, and I guess I'll contact support. Anyway, sorry we're a couple minutes late. Welcome, Lisa Fagan, the founder of Promolytics, that we're going to talk to today. And Adam, welcome as well. Back to Drink Up, and sorry, everybody. I guess I lost my mind there for a second. And full transparency, a few months ago, Adam and I were doing a podcast, and we wrapped up with our friend at Coolmox, Danielle. Hello, Danielle, if you're ever capture one of these podcasts or live raw and real. Thanks. But we actually rolled for another 45 minutes and didn't realize it.
No.
And our friend Ryan Hellman at Apex 360, which I guess Apex 360 Group's changed its name. Sorry, I'm not supposed to say that.
No, you're fine. It's public knowledge, but yeah, it's a whole other story. Got a demand letter. So yes, the name will be changing. But yeah, he texted me. Sam and I were, bullshitting, hanging out, going over business stuff. We hadn't named, thank God we hadn't named any names or, spoken ill of anyone, not that we're prone to.
That we ever would.
Right. Yeah, Ryan texts us and is like, hey, just so you know, if people are still watching, you guys are still live.
Yeah. No, I'm waiting for my demand letter too, because there's all kinds of like bev this and drink this. I'm like, okay,
Right,
great.
yeah. I know.
I'll just ride the wave.
Yeah.
I'll just try to become Promolytics podcast. That's right. It's owned by Lisa. So Lisa, welcome. So why don't you introduce yourself? Tell a little bit about, the founder of Promolytics.
Yes.
Just tell us kind of, who you are and how you got here. And you don't have to go through a long dissertation, but this may be a little 411 of about you and about your company.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for having me on. So I have been in the alcohol beverage industry for the past 25 years. During that time, I was in marketing and sales in e-commerce, and I noticed something that was sort of trending through all of those. This marketing team was having a hard time tracking consumer engagement with their marketing promotions. Digitally, that's easy. When you're talking about email or social media or your website, that's easy to track. What's hard to track are tastings, events, the print materials that you have at the grocery store or the liquor store. That consumer engagement is sort of one step away from being trackable. And I knew at some point that we had to be able to do that, especially now, right? In this age of AI and all these different things that are going on. So I created Promolytics to do just that, to give the full campaign trackable, measurable engagement with your consumer.
Wow. So you're here, you and I don't even know how did we meet? I'm just curious, and we'll get into some of the questions, but I don't know how we found each other. Did I find you or did you find me or?
I think you found me and talked to Alex for a little bit on my sales team. And then we had several Zoom meetings, and you're a very interesting individual and engaging. And it's been great getting to know you, really. So yeah, that's, I think, the way we
Well, that was very polite that I'm a very interesting individual. I mean, at least my partner would probably appreciate that comment because she has to live with me. She's my work wife, so she lives with me all the time. So we have some questions coming up. By the way, Jeff says, that's a nice way to describe Sam. Lots of love. Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate that. With that piece, Adam, I know you're thinking here, and we were talking earlier, and we were talking a little bit about small companies and the opportunity to be able to grab data. Do you want to go a little bit deeper on that with Lisa in terms of that? And then we can drill into like what Promolytics is and how companies can actually tap into this incredible value that they bring.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of because I know I'm prone to looping in multiple questions into one, but it's like I understand what you're saying, Lisa, in terms of the need, right? Like
Right.
that absolutely tracks. The logic is there for me. But in terms of how a small brand, if you talk about a sampling, for example, so like I've got not all, but a handful of my brand owners that I work with are kind of one-man bands, right?
Right.
So is that something where, kind of marrying those two ideas together, is that something where if they're working with you, do they have like a tablet or an app on their phone where they're capturing data, and then Promolytics is giving them an analysis of that data, and that's kind of how it works? Or I guess the question is, if you could paint me a picture of how like a single person brand or brand owner might be able to make use of Promolytics.
Right. So imagine you're a tequila brand and
Mhm.
you're launching a new product. And through that tasting that you were talking about, you're in 5 cities, and what you do is, uh, you create or you take your information that you're trying to gather through and your campaign, and say on the tasting, you add a QR code with a couple questions or maybe a video. And the consumer scans that QR code, and we start gathering that data from there. So the QR code gets geographic location,
Mm-hmm.
you the information on the consumer, the way the
Mm-hmm.
consumer best likes to be connected with. They'll ask for uh, email address or Instagram. If it's a non-alcoholic product, it can have text information, that sort of
Mm-hmm.
thing. We also cover the different legal ways that the legalese that needs to be taken care of. You can't just have people scan QR codes and collect information anymore, right? If it is an alcohol beverage, you want to make sure that you're absolutely documenting that you are talking with someone who's 21 or older.
Mm-hmm.
You also want to be able to document that you have talked to them about privacy policies and that they are submitting and knowing that they are submitting their information.
You're like
Mm-hmm.
an attorney in an app.
Yeah, it's cover your butt, right?
Cover your bases. That's
Right.
interesting.
And then also, but you're also getting name information, geolocation information. You're getting, if you put a video on, like a nice engaging video, because you're trying to also engage your customer with this,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see whether they watch the full video or not. All
Well,
of
we
these,
got to introduce her to China Morgan over at Vidlo.
I'm also thinking
yeah,
between China and like Andrea Poe. I'm getting a lot of Andrea Poe conversation type vibes.
Yeah,
So
and those are things that is all documented, right? But it's
sure.
all, so then from before, but looking at it from where you were before, the way it's sort of happening now is someone at a promotional company walks up to a customer and says, "Do you want to try our new tequila?" And they say yes. And then if they're engaging, they actually say, "Do you like it?" And
Sure.
they say, "Yeah," or "Meh," or "Oh no, I love
Yeah,
it." Great. So that's what you want to hear, right?
right,
But with Promolytics, you can say to the customer, "What do you normally like to drink?" In that
sure,
two question link from that QR code, it could
sure.
be, "What do you like to normally drink?"
oh
And
Yeah.
it
man,
could
our
be,
friends at Even, by the way, Even. I mean, I don't know if he knows it, but he's like freely sponsoring our podcast.
yeah,
Says, hey, Derek, we're
there
just
you
a little
go.
promo for Even. I know you and Lisa are talking. You'll be at the 3M Golf Championships. This is one of the hottest brands in
Yeah.
North America, by the way. But anyway, that was my advertisement. A question came in here. It's kind of on the same page. So, Jeff, thanks for the question. Data collection is so important, especially when there are many parts and touch points in the campaign. Do you offer a
Yes.
real-time dashboard for displaying the data and a logical understanding?
Correct. Yes. So the real-time data is created in real time. So within a couple seconds, you will see that. And the next thing that happens is you are able to, so each time a consumer engages with one of your QR codes, what happens on our end is Promolytics creates a unique identifier for that information for that customer. And then they just keep updating each time that the consumer actually engages. Say it's with they start at an event, then they go to the liquor store to purchase the product, but they scan a QR code that's on a shelf talker. Hey, great, we've uploaded that information into
So
that
we
profile.
built, so Promolytics needs all your promotion that you do, build in Promolytics into your QR codes that they scan. And once we
Yes,
capture that consumer, we're going to have them for the lifetime, or as long as they have
yes, their phone.
their product. And then as a owner, I have this
Yeah,
dashboard and I can actually
yeah,
see in real time what's happening with those consumers as they start to aggregate that data, or
correct.
you start to aggregate the data. Yes.
The different touch points, and then they go to purchase. And that is what you consider your consumer engagement that you want to document for that particular campaign. You have when they purchased, what steps led up to the purchase. It's not an oh, I wonder if they actually went to the tasting first or if they saw my QR code on the shelf talker first. It's this is the day they engaged at the tasting. This is the day they scanned their
So
shelf talker. This is when they bought.
So this is leading to the question number one, because we've gotten to questions before the questions. But I got to believe this is one of the reasons you launched Promolytics, because you probably saw a problem out in the marketplace that people have QR
Yes.
codes, they're giving stuff away, they're
Yes.
investing in different apps to do certain things, but you literally can cover the whole
Gamut.
gamut. So can you walk, is that why you founded Promolytics? Or I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is that one of the reasons?
Yes, that was the original reason why I founded Promolytics, was to cover that black hole. That's 39% of where the marketing team spends their money every year. So last year, alcohol beverage teams spent $22 billion on marketing.
So 39%. Let's go back to that 39% of what gets spent towards marketing.
22. Which part do you want me to read?
22% of what you make goes to marketing?
No. So last year, $22 billion was spent on marketing overall at the alcohol beverage.
Okay.
39% of that is on offline marketing. So the tastings, the events, the shelf talkers, all of those things that are a black hole to a lot of CPG companies, but we're just talking about that. Those dollar figures are just for alcohol beverage alone.
Yeah, Pinata needs you, by the way. You're right, from our conversation today, because they have hundreds and hundreds of tasting agencies, and their app actually helps execute that, but they're aggregating and grabbing data, but not like what you can do at Promolytics.
Right. So what you're doing is you're creating a dashboard that's giving you a living, breathing consumer insight engine, right?
Yeah.
So they're getting all of that information they're not getting now, or they're getting it from Nielsen, or they're getting it from, maybe they bought POS, information from the stores. It takes months to get that data.
So you're a differentiator. You're actually, you're different than the traditional marketing. One of the things we wanted to ask is, what is the difference between you and traditional marketing? Traditional marketing takes too long to get to the information. Is that one of the differences? You can get it right now?
Yes, their only hope of getting it is it takes them 3 months or more to get, and we do it in real time, right?
You've already lost the consumers. 90 days ago, this is what happened. I don't know what's happening currently.
Correct. Yeah. Yes. So we're giving you real-time data. The other thing is, we're launching AI. So AI, Adam, to your guys, this is going to be just a game changer, because the people who want to know this data and want to be able to plan, this gives you the data to plan out the next year, 2 years, 3 years down the road. They have that data that they're building their own information on, right? But maybe they don't have time to dig into it. AI digs into it for them. So they're going in, they're looking at and they'll ask questions. What was my best marketing campaign in June? Where that gives them the roll up. You had this many QR code scans, you had 100,000 different communications, and we suggest that you don't do billboards anymore because you really didn't get a lot of engagement through your billboards. You got more engagement through your TV ads.
So some people were coming online. I'm going to interrupt. Sorry, I told you I was like the pitcher or whatever. So first of all, Andy just came online. Adam, you want to read her comment?
Okay.
Yeah, so she said, could you talk more about the campaign as it relates to these tasting events?
Okay.
And well, go ahead before I
go ahead. I would ask what more do you, let me run a tasting event.
She said you just answered her question.
What was that?
Said you already answered it.
Andy, bring on some more customers. And then Brett, I'm going to butcher your name, but Brett, is there a link to the tool? We can, in terms of Promolytics, we can share everybody. Maybe we can type it in the chat and bring up, and maybe we can show I don't know, I'm putting you on the spot, but maybe we can show how people get there as well, if you're comfortable with that. But Brett is an industry pro as well.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
Absolutely. Yeah. What you would want to do is go to promolytics.net. That will give you our marketing website, sign up for a demonstration, and we will walk you through the platform.
Awesome. Yeah. So how we run Live Raw and Real Lisa. So as questions pop in, we like to get them as soon as possible. And then Jeff came back and he said it would be great if there was a way to use geofencing technology to bring up a QR on a smartphone based on a consumer's location. Example, a liquor store location that is doing a tasting. Any thoughts?
That's a great thought. That's a great thought.
So
And I will talk.
we're gonna develop we're gonna conquer the world. But go ahead. Sorry.
No, yeah, that's great. No, I think that's great. That is a wonderful idea. I'll talk to my team about it. But currently, the way it would happen is the QR code would be available through the promoter at the tasting. So, yeah.
And so when you're at these tastings, or when you're, I guess I should say, when you're setting up a brand for one of these tastings, right?
Yes.
And we'll stick with the alcohol space because it's a really easy one to understand in the sense of there's some clear rules, right? There have to be
Yeah.
some disclaimers read or viewed. There have to be some age confirmations. But once you kind of get beyond the boilerplate checklist,
Yes.
are you and the Promolytics team helping, and I'm thinking of some of the brands I work with, helping them understand what information to capture, what questions to ask, what information to not capture, how to understand that information once they do capture it?
Yes, absolutely.
All
All
those
of the
things.
above. We
Cool.
have provided different, I mean, questions, answers, typical things when you're trying to build that consumer insight database, if that is your goal, because we have that information. Also, our onboarding is a very in-depth process.
So Andy, maybe you answered Andy's question. She said, "What type of survey questions do you ask?" Is that kind of answered her question, Adam and Lisa? So like
What I would say is we ask
go ahead.
whatever you want to know. It is whatever you want to know. We provide you examples. We actually provide you a great, a lot of examples
Yeah, I
on
would.
what
So we don't know what
to
we
ask.
don't know, but you probably do know what we should ask.
Well, that's exactly why I asked the question, because
Yes.
and I pick on him very lovingly on here a lot. He's a really, really good guy, and I've got, high hopes for what he's doing. But one of
Right?
my clients will talk about going to tastings, and he's like, he'll go do sampling in a store, and he's like, well, what should I be doing while I'm there? And again, never once in my life, never once ever have I ever run a tasting.
Right. Right.
When I met my wife doing street team promo radio stuff. And so I'm like, dude, okay, talk to customers. If somebody wants to buy a product, it's their birthday, make them feel special.
Right.
Figure out look at what people are buying when they're not talking to you. Look at what the store is selling. Look at how many
Right.
people are coming through the door. Talk to the store owner about what problems are. Like, the list just keeps going.
Yeah.
Right.
And so
Right.
and I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but when I think about the way I might use this tool, right, it's exactly that. It's like, there are all the questions to ask. How do I call them down into something that's manageable, that someone's actually going to respond honestly?
Certainly, there's so many business use cases for you, Lisa. So here's another question for you, Lisa, or some statements. First of all, Robert, I owe you a call. You called me earlier this week. I'm calling you today. Pick up the phone. I didn't pick up the phone, but I did respond. And by the way, Lisa's taking full advantage of it. She's like, "Hey, it's Lisa." I'm like, "Hey, thanks for calling me. It's so brilliant. Just pick up the phone." Don't you think, Lisa? Just have the conversation. We don't need an appointment to do that. Let's just talk for 5 minutes and go. But so here's Robert. Robert takes brands into Canada. Okay, Robert, I'm probably doing you a disservice somewhere in the Michigan area, Canadian area, but he helps beverage brands get into Canada and so on and so
Okay.
forth. Probably do more than that, Robert, but you can chime in. Motivation. The key factor to everything we do is tasting enough to try and convert. I would need tasting with a deal, somewhat like the Costco sampling model. So I don't know if like you're hitting any of those companies that are in Costco or sampling or whatever. Certainly everybody's into this tasting room. We'll get into other things that you do, but
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Right now we have a pilot program running that they specifically developed their program around Costco. So, and it's going well. So
oh wow,
it
yeah.
is great.
Wow. So yeah, because it's funny when I would walk my Costco, right? I won't go there this weekend; it's pretty crowded. But when you walk there, you mean I can probably get a full lunch after I
Right.
walk the area. And then these poor tasting people, it would be nice if you had something, or then I could buy my phone or someone buy a couch or whatever. There's all these people, these vendors like hitting you while you're walking around, right? So it's like
Right.
Disneyland, but you're right.
Right.
You could have you there, like capturing information. Oh, scan this for this, get something free. Now, I'm not going to just give my number up for free to you or my scan. How do you get people to actually participate?
Here's the thing. Okay. I did
Hmm.
a little bit of research on this, obviously. Um, QR codes, and I'm gonna read a little bit here just to make sure I do exact. The US leads the world in total percentage of QR code scans.
Yeah.
42.2% of the US consumer will scan a QR code. 51% of millennials, 49.
We lost
Shoot.
Lisa. Lisa, you there?
Wait, what's yeah. Can you hear me at
I
least?
can hear you, but we can't see you. But that's when we go live raw and real, we can keep on talking, though. Keep on going, and hopefully you can get your video back.
Okay, yeah. Well, let me.
If you want to dial back in, we can hold. We got a full, hour with you.
Yes, 1 second. I think I got it. Just 1 sec. Turn off the camera.
So a couple
Okay.
comments coming in while we're waiting. Jim says, once the consumer uses the QR code to opt into the database, what is the journey from the point? And if you're trying to dial in, I'll just show this on the screen. Jim will get to you momentarily, and then get some other questions coming in.
Actually, say the question
Yeah.
again. And
So Jim says, once the consumer uses the QR code to opt into the database, what is the journey from this point?
so let me go back to, here's the journey that Promolytics. Promolytics will show is an add-on to your campaign. So your marketing campaign, the journey that you want your customer to go on is the journey that Promolytics will take it on. Take them to a video if you want to engage them in video information. It will gather in questions from the consumer if you want to find out more about your consumer information. It's a way to communicate with your customer. It's also a way to find out more about your customer.
Got it.
Okay, back to QR codes just quick.
Yeah, we still can't see you, by the way, if you think you're on.
I know. Let me finish this and then I'll dial out
Yeah.
and then I'll
Yeah.
call you right back. The QR codes are projected to bring in $3.4 billion alone by
So
2030.
over 40% of the consumers opts in on a QR code, some form or fashion. And then how much? 3 billion, you said?
3.4 billion.
3.4 billion. If you're not paying it, if you're not with Promolytics in this game, you're leaving there's a big gap there. There's an opportunity gap.
Absolutely, because people are they think that digital is the way to go, correct? Because it's measurable. A lot of CMOs are getting a lot of pressure to use digital more. So it's becoming, the consumer is getting swamped with all this digital information that's coming at them, right? But a digital success story is 6% of engagement on social media. It's 20% to 30%. 30% is considered outstanding on emails. You're looking at QR codes that millennials and Gen Z are participating, over 50% of them are participating in scanning over once a week.
Wow. Did you get those numbers? So 6% social media.
Yes.
30% email.
Yes.
And over 50% with a QR code.
Correct.
Well, the math, that's just brilliant. Why don't you, we'll pull up these questions and get them aggregated. Why don't you dial back in? Because people can hear you, and I apologize, everybody. This is how we roll at Drink Up. This is what makes it fun. We had our friend Samantha Skyring. I don't think you made that one, Adam, but Samantha's out of South Africa, and she has a assault, and her computer was going awry, and she started doing bird calls. It's interesting. What was good is we didn't lose Lisa. She able to answer questions. So a couple of things we can gather. Adam, I'm going to read these questions here. Oh, there we go. Lisa's back. Yes, there we go. So I delayed just enough to get you back. So we got a couple of questions coming in, Lisa. Jim says, I'll screen this on the screen to make it easier for you to read. Once the consumer uses a QR code to opt into the database, what is the journey from this point?
Consumer's journey is whatever the marketing team creates.
Okay.
So that's why if you don't have a full team, we offer different questions you can ask and why you would ask those questions. So we give you guidance, we walk through that. And then from the other end, we talk about, what are your opportunities? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to build that consumer insight database? Or are you trying to form more of a closer engagement with your consumer? Do you want to bring them in? Do you want to build? What are we doing? What is your goals? You want to do probably a little bit of all of that. So there's different touch points. You don't want to ask the same question.
So you kind of pre-identify what the journey you want to track. I hate to use
Yeah,
the word track. Sorry, consumers out there. We're not tracking you. We want you to
yeah,
participate, right? We participate with us. Be
right.
part of the brand's journey. Okay. Interesting. And
Yeah,
you help them do that. So that's one of the services you offer. You help the client kind of figure out what that looks like.
yes, yes. And we
So
will also, and AI is going to then help you find out logically database. Sort of, this is how I felt like it went with a regular promotion person at a tasting. Usually they'll ask the promotional person, well, what'd you think? And they'll say, well, I thought it went well, or it was all right. I had a couple of people who liked it, a couple of people didn't, especially if you're tasting a scotch, say. But what we're gathering is you tasted a scotch, but this person likes foo-foo drinks. So
yeah,
they didn't like it because they're not your customer,
yeah,
right?
Hmm.
There's
yeah,
nothing wrong with your scotch. It's wonderful, right?
yeah.
So you've put that aside, but yet you know that down the line, if you're trying to attract that person, you have their information.
So something's still ringing in my mind. 6% social media, 30% email, and over 50% to do a QR code
Weekly.
weekly.
Now, if you're looking at overall, 89% of people will engage with a QR code.
So how much?
Percent.
Okay, so I was going to throw, just being kind of silly here, I was going to say play black or white roulette. It's 50% odds that you're going to get black or white, right? So the
Weekly.
odds are better to play Promolytics. So I'm betting on black at Promolytics or red every time to do it.
Right.
So my friend Mark Bird's with Retail Cities. So Retail Cities, you absolutely have to meet him. He's head of sales for them. So Mark, thanks for the question. Mark asked, Lisa, are you doing any work in Virginia or in North Carolina?
Not currently. I mean, we are nationwide. We are throughout the US.
Okay.
So wherever you are in the US, we will be available.
Okay, yeah, and Mark has obviously a lot of connections across the globe, to let
Yes.
you know. So he just happens to be based in Virginia Beach. So hey, Mark, think bigger. Sorry,
Next
I'll be
steps.
still here. Some people just kind of come in the chat and they leave the chat, come back or
Yeah.
whatever. So you want to take some of the questions, Adam, that
Yeah.
we talked about earlier? Did you get that email to you?
Yeah, no, I got it. It's as you've been talking, Lisa, the again, as an ops guy and as kind of a novice of the marketing world, right? My mind kind of spins on laying in what you're saying to, okay, is this top of funnel? Is it middle of funnel? Is it end of bottom of funnel? And if to your point, like if you have somebody who says, I don't like scotch, I prefer more of a mixed drink, a fruitier beverage, that kind of thing. Okay. I mean, I talked to Sam, introduced me to a distillery last week who is a distillery, but
Right.
now they're looking to do lower ABV canned cocktails. So
Right.
you may have seen, for 2 years, data that you were capturing, but not, taking any opportunity with because it wasn't your, product, it wasn't your market, it wasn't your customer. But now you've decided, you've got enough of that feedback, you want to get into it. Right.
Right.
So that's kind of where my brain's spinning. And the question that we have from our list here that I think I want to tie into that is, it says Promolytics can integrate with over 1,400 platforms. What? I mean, first of all, why is that important? Which I could take a guess on, but I'm more interested to start on what platforms, like
Right.
social media or
No.
okay.
No, no, no. Well, yes and no. So
Sure.
so we integrate through social media through messaging. So
Okay.
yeah, that's
So you mean messaging platforms?
yes. So we utilize the messaging platforms on social media.
Okay.
But what we talk about it for integration is it's data in a silo is not good. It doesn't help anybody. But what happens is that the marketing department has their silo of data and the sales department has theirs and strategy
Hmm.
has theirs. And then there's the
Hmm.
overreaching, right?
Sure.
Where are we going next? So what we do at Promolytics is we work with another company. We partnered with another company that actually integrates or APIs through to say an ERP, sorry.
Okay.
That's the new software coming, everybody, ARP.
Yeah. through your ERP or different platforms so that the data can transfer into a usable functioning integration. So it's not just
Sure.
data in a silo. That's our
Sure.
goal. You can also download it into an Excel spreadsheet. We give you different options to be able to take a look. And if you want to dump your own data down and start a pivot tabling and doing all of those funky Excel processes with it, you can do
Sure.
that too.
Yeah, I love. I do work with Pinata, obviously with our company, and I was
Yeah,
meeting with Fred. Fred, have you ever captured this or capture our episode or two? I'm calling Pinata out, but anyway, they create dashboards for us, so we don't have to think about the data. And then I was all stressed out because I was trying to take the raw data, dump it into pivot tables, and try to disseminate what it was saying. He's like, "Wait,
right.
we can do it for you." And I don't know what
Yes.
the front end they're using, your Tableau or Power BI, but they're able to aggregate the data really quick and to get to some answers. So I'm assuming
And
y'all will
that's
do that as well.
correct. Yes,
There's a
absolutely.
couple questions coming in on my phone, our statements. So Jeff says experiential marketing is a underutilized and often lower cost opportunity for emerging brands to get some momentum going to their brand. Any thoughts on that?
Yes, experiential marketing is amazing, and we are absolutely talking to some experiential marketing customers because while they are amazing, they don't have the data backing it, right? They have the feelings, which everybody loves good feelings, but
Right.
they're also able to gather data the same way. All of their consumers at the experience, they can scan the QR codes at different parts of the experience or contact in different ways that way so that the data, they can actually say, we brought you 1,000 new consumers through this experience, taught you this information. This expanded your consumer database or your knowledge or um, your connection by XYZ amount of
Think
consumers.
of Derek and Laura are listening at even. I think being at the 3M Golf Championships is going to be game changing for them to utilize your service.
Right.
They talked to
Absolutely.
1,000 consumers, and I was at the Valspar Golf Championships with them. They literally talked to 1,000 consumers, and everybody wanted a scarf. So that was like, hey, come scan this and get a scarf.
Right. Which is a great consumer interaction, right? Why not add to that and then capture that and the way they want to be communicated with? Because if they aren't going to open an email, why are you sending them an email?
Yeah, and
They want to talk to you via Instagram,
right.
right?
And matter of fact, this side experience too, by the way, because I literally was sitting there and watching Derek talk to this one guy. He's like, I'm going to put this on social media. I'm going to be your ambassador. And everybody's like, in the moment that I'm filming, like this young woman, she's like, thank you so much for having Even here today. I felt like I was an outsider, but now that I can have my Even can, I feel like I'm part of it. So that experience. And meanwhile, Promolytics is right there capturing this experience. You scanned it the
Correct.
whole bit, which is absolutely brilliant. Robert made a point. My point is about earlier question. I just want to make sure we call everybody out that they're so kind enough to come here. If I get a notification of a tasting for a brand I ordered once or a brand with a new SKU, I'm not as motivated to alter my day and head over. I need more motivation, like a BOGO or a free sample.
Okay. That would be something that the marketing team would be putting together on their end.
Right. So that's something you would advise them. Hey, look, if I start to do these outreach, did you do outreaches or are you just basically watching their journey? Is there an opportunity with Promolytics to actually, once you get the consumers in, to actually actively outreach to them and steer them to a location or come to a tasting? Hey, Robert, we talked to you at Valspar. Love to have you come down to the 3M Golf Championships to
Right.
participate.
Right. Absolutely. What you do, so talking about the top of the funnel, the middle of the funnel, or the end of the funnel, right? It's the funnel.
Okay.
You can use Promolytics through the whole funnel. In other words, you create a campaign, you use Promolytics to work with and gather that consumer data. Then you go back for your next campaign and go into Promolytics and say, I want to look at the consumers that are 21 to 30 years old who like this particular product or this particular type of alcohol or
Right.
whatever. And that's how I'm going to re-engage with them. And then you build your program around that, the next campaign. And then you have a cohort that you got the information back out of. And everybody knows that once you get a very specific cohort that you're engaging with, that you have so much more success on that next campaign, because you're talking to exactly the people you want to talk to, exactly the way they
So
want to be.
Robert, you're going to be in the cohort. You're coming back, man. I'm telling you, you're going to be in the cohort. And by the way, you gave permission when you
Right.
signed up the first time for me to communicate with you. Is that true?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
That's you want to take Andy's statements there? Andy made it, just call her out, Adam.
Yeah, is that on
Dan.
LinkedIn?
Yeah.
There we go. Hold on, let me refresh. My LinkedIn's slow though. We gotta refresh it.
Probably can take it.
There
Andy,
you go.
you got it?
Andy said, sounds like a slam dunk for video ad testing, and you are a goldmine of marketing stats. Very engaging.
And we will introduce you to Andy, Jeff, Robert, all
We
these
get a video
great
from
people
them.
that came today. Looking back at the questions, I think we've covered a lot of them.
I think I'm curious, Lisa, when you talk about the 89% on QR codes, like I'm still kind of like Sam was, I'm still just
Where
gobsmacked
where
by
where,
that
where do we
number.
sign up?
Yeah.
Well, so I guess, and maybe you know this off the top of your head, maybe you don't, but if not, it's something I absolutely intend to Google. But like if I guess I'm just curious, like if 89% of them, understanding you right, is the number of people that will take out their phone and scan a QR code,
Yep.
how many then, because there has to be some sort of dropping of that percentage, but how many then actually end up completing whatever they've scanned the QR code for?
That is a good question. I don't know. And I think
Sure.
if looking at it, I would say it probably depends
Sure.
on the engagement. You know, if it's a video or a whatever, it would be a certain percentage. Or if it's questions, or if it's an engagement where they just want to know more about the product, they're gonna
Hmm.
read through or
Hmm.
whatever and go on.
Well, isn't that why Promolytics was founded, though? Because we have all these people that went down QR code land. I got my QR code here, QR code everywhere. But
Yeah.
Promolytics actually is going to help activate that QR code through the
Yes.
journey of the brand with that consumer to make sure that it keeps it going and keeps them engaging, and then also take that information to make sure that they do something with it. I mean, sorry, even they were getting QR codes, but I wonder, if Laura actually did anything with the James Madison, I guess what it was, and all these QR codes you were collecting at, like even Aspen Food and Wine. I don't think they're doing anything with it.
Yeah. And are they protected from it? I mean, I don't know. How many of the QR codes do you see privacy policies come up and things like that?
Yeah, so the legalities of it, they could really
Right.
emphasize that. What type of companies are the best fit for Promolytics?
What type of company?
Yeah, I can't. We can't afford you. I mean, we're small.
You don't know if you can afford me or not. I think the way to look at it really is you can't afford not to have us, really.
Okay.
But, we're built for the marketing and the brand teams, but even a smaller company that doesn't have a marketing or brand team, now that we have AI and these different things, you can still work with us to gain an effective way to monitor your data and ask AI, how do I do it better next time?
Yeah.
The people who are serious about measuring what works and what doesn't,
Yeah.
if you're running a retail activation, a sponsoring of an event, managing a field team, want to tie that activity to any kind of a results, we're a great fit. We give you the interest from wellness brands, all these different types. But if you're running promotions, if you're running campaigns, no matter where, because we will track TV ads. I mean, we're the gambit. It's the whole campaign. Instead of just grabbing a piece of information from social media and a piece of information from your print ads and a piece of information over here, we give you the ability to look at the whole campaign as a whole and
Yeah.
each piece. So if you need to connect the data, we are built for you.
Interesting. Jim says he can't hear you. Can you? We can hear you. I'm going to go into the LinkedIn and see what's going
Yeah.
on.
Grabbing a piece of information.
Okay, Jim, it must be on your end because we can hear Lisa, and I can hear it
A
on.
piece of information over here. We give
Yeah.
you the ability.
Interesting. So it's going live, raw, and real. So Jeff says, can you share what an entry point in terms of monthly ad budget for your service to be effective? I'll put it on the screen so you can see it.
To be effective. That has a lot of, we would need to talk about what your needs are, what your goals are. I can tell you that right now through Sam's company, we are basically running a 10% discount and running a year's program for $3,600. Anyone who signs up and mentions that they saw the podcast or Bev Assets, then that's what it is for a year, this first year.
Oh, wow. Thank you for that. That's news to Adam and my ears the whole bit. So Adam will get you in on that the deal. I'll give you the code and we can provide that code. Is it like you just put Bev Assets 10% or how does that work?
Just put Bev Assets in or mention it to me when you talk to me.
Okay, we'll make sure that when we do the actual podcast, we'll include that in there as well. Which thank you for that. That's really wonderful news to hear. That warms my heart in a lot of ways because we love to bring value to
Appreciate it.
Adam and I both love to bring value. Adam, you want to take a couple other questions?
Do we have another couple pop through? Otherwise, I've got one.
Yeah, or you can just go to yours. I mean, I think we've covered a lot of what we wanted to touch base. Lisa, is there anything that? Well, go ahead, Adam. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, so because it's on what we wanted to cover, and I'm playing around on the website here a little bit, just kind of clicking through some stuff. This is gonna sound maybe moderately redundant, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Again, for a lot of the smaller brands I work with, they'll ask, what should I track when it comes to marketing? Going back to kind of that idea, what should I track? What should I not track? How much should I track of it? When should I stop caring? When is it an outlier, right? That kind of thing. And the answer is, again, as the ops guy, when I get asked those questions, I'm like, I know a little, and I could tell you from an operational perspective, like if you have a default in a product, what percentages you should care about or where it kind of requires action or whatever. And so, but what I'm getting at is I'll often, well, okay, like Google's your friend, AI is your friend. You can ask a chat GPT, you can ask whoever, but when you talk about your AI, I have to assume if a brand owner were to come to someone's platform like yours and say, okay, I want to ask those same questions, but I want to ask it of an AI that's built on the information of real, like firsthand stuff.
Yes.
And solely that, like for example, if I wanted to log on and I don't have my own brand, I don't have my own sampling, but I want to ask a question of like, hey, what's the most common KPI for a non-alc beverage brand in Tennessee marketing to this age group? Like, could it spit me out a useful answer?
So we were not built for that. I would always suggest that that's something you would want to go to like Google or not
Okay,
Google.
sure.
Yeah, ChatGPT or whatever. What we are built for is taking your real-time data and also industry information is gathered. And so that's how it's used for analyzing your data so that it can make real-time suggestions and things like that.
Got it.
It isn't built to be the industry information right now.
No, but that's the distinction that I was looking for because there's a separation obviously between general foundational knowledge and kind of having an AI tool to crawl my own brand data and tell me, give me insights from it in real time as opposed to me having to look through 6 different spreadsheets and figure it out on my own.
Well, and also taking into consideration, we do aggregate and take into consideration industry data.
Sure.
Yes, to use with that.
All right, so I'm going to transition with the final 10 minutes a little bit. So first of all, I got to call my partner, Alicia Vargo. I don't know, I think you and Alicia have met or you've corresponded.
Yes.
So Alicia's my partner at Bev Assets, but she says, best tagline ever. You can't afford not to have us.
Thanks.
Thank you, Lisa. So use that. By the way, I think that's really good. That might be on there. I'm going to look for your LinkedIn, your banner, your headline. I'm going to be looking for that today to see if that actually pops up somewhere. I'm going to give you some pressure, but it's good. So Jeff, I can hear fine. Awesome. We can get into a couple of just fun stuff for the last 10 minutes. And we have always a question. And I'm going to Adam ask the question. Hopefully the question we ask every founder, you get to ask today. But and Lisa's prepared for it because I told her about the question. Okay. What are Lisa's favorite go-to drink brands when socializing? You don't have to name brands. Maybe it's up to you. I know it gets a little political there, but
Maker's Mark always Maker's
Solid
Mark.
option.
Love Breckenridge Distillery. Yeah.
I was going to say I'm familiar with Breckenridge Brewing.
Yeah, distillery. The distillery makes them amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So obviously you're a whiskey woman.
Yes, I love whiskeys.
So, what type of drink are you? Is it neat on the rocks? Is it you like a Manhattan? Like,
Yes.
how do you consume it?
Mostly neat, but I love Manhattans. Yeah. Yeah. I want to be able to taste the whiskey.
They can
Several Suntory whiskeys, Yamazakis. I got my hands on a Yamazaki 21-year-old at one point and just
rare
yep.
Hibiki bottle, by the way, a rare one. It was probably worth like I don't know, 10 grand.
Yeah.
It disappeared in my liquor cabinet.
Huh. Funny how that works.
Thanks, Madison, my son.
Yeah.
So you did. Anyway, it's funny. How do you wind down your day? So at the end of the day, what's your favorite drink to do a wind down? And it doesn't have to be an alcoholic beverage, by the way.
Okay. Happens to be. It depends on the time of year. I will, again, during winter, I'm always enjoying a nice whiskey or a really good tequila. But in the summer, I like a nice gin and tonic. Yeah. How about you guys?
Adam?
I mean, tell everybody. My mom was just in town a couple weeks ago, which is who I get it from. I do like whiskey, but if I have my default, it's definitely a clear liquor and lime. Specifically lime. It can't just be any citrus, like an orange. Oranges and lemons are fine. So I like lime and either tequila or gin for the most part. If it's alcohol, if it's not alcohol, my wife's got me turned on to Frescas, the sugar-free Frescas.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's funny. It's Fresca. I haven't heard that term. Someone did,
Right? I
it
know.
might have been Jeff, actually. Someone was talking to me about Tab. I don't know. Maybe it was Jay Williams. I think it was Jay Williams did a post
It was
about
Jay
Tab.
Williams. He had a post about it the other day.
Yeah. Talking about like tabs being open. For me, I'm on a non-alcoholic beer kick, and it
Yeah.
seems like every time I go out in a restaurant, the only one you can find is Heineken 0.0. That seems to be
Mm,
the number one item out
Okay.
there. Matter of fact, we celebrated our 38th year anniversary yesterday. So Susan,
congrats.
belated anniversary, but
Congratulations.
we did celebrate. We forgot our anniversary last year. We forgot 37 years, but we remembered 38. Anyway,
Oh, it's
NA
amazing.
beers. I like that. And obviously, I worked for Brown Forman for 10 years. So I'm a big Jack and Coke person. At college was Jack and Coke and never really stopped enjoying a nice Jack and Coke, quite frankly. It's easy, it's sessionable, and easy to consume. And then I'm experimenting with all these NA beverages from Even,
Yeah.
Remix, Casa Cobre, a little brand called Amethyst, which is from Burnt Church Distillery here.
Okay.
It kind of behaves like a gin. It's real fun. They're actually expanding out nationwide. Really kind of cool. So there's a lot of cool brands like this coming out that you can experiment with.
Right.
They based out of state.
South Carolina
Okay.
is where they're at. They have a brand called Anita's Choice. So a lot of whiskeys and stuff that they make. The whole bit. And obviously, Lisa, I'll introduce you to the Burnt Church folks as well because they definitely could use your services. All right, Adam, you get to ask her the big question that we ask every founder. So hopefully you remember what that is. You've been on a lot of these podcasts.
Oh, I got you. I feel like we need a drum roll. So Lisa, it's very straightforward, and again, it sounds like Sam prefaced it with you before, but it's in your experience or for you, what's the difference or what's been the difference between success and failure?
For me, success is always helping the next person be successful. It's always what can I do or what can the company provide that will help you be successful. We need to be there for you. I've always been very foresightful when COVID hit and I was still selling for R&D. I thought right at the beginning, we had all of those terrible, awful supply chain issues where you just couldn't get product and people were running out left and right. And I thought, what is the way I get this because it's been 100 years since we've had a pandemic, right? But how can I help my customer in
Sure.
this situation? What's the best opportunity for them? And it turned out barrels. If they purchase a barrel from any one of the distilleries that sell a private barrel to a different retailer,
Mm-hmm.
they own the product. The consumer can't buy it anywhere else. And they have 40 cases of it sitting in their inventory. They don't have to worry about the distributor being able to get it. It's something that differentiates themselves. It was 87% of my retailers bought their own personal barrels, and it got them through that winter. If it was a
Wow.
go-to for them.
I
And
gotta,
they,
gotta
Fantastic.
introduce you to my Drinksify friends, Lisa. So get ready for another introduction. Your
right.
teams will be like, Sam, like, he's just really an interesting individual. He's like booked like 10 appointments for me this week. Guys, I
Wow.
can't meet with you because I'm meeting with Sam. And it's
Wow, that's
brilliant.
great. Yeah, but yeah, you think about those things, that to me is success. And you know what? They also, I think 68% of them kept ordering those barrels because they were things that were working for them. It was something that helped them be successful and have product when a lot of other people were struggling, and that made me very happy for them.
Sure.
Well, as we wrap up, I gotta, every time a question comes, I want to do to actually call them out. I don't, we can just, well, I'll let Robert, we'll bring Robert's question here. Macro question. Have you felt the tariff politics with alcohol companies who depend on exports to Canada? Any word of sales drops? Have you heard any hey, I can't, I guess, Robert, I don't know what you're asking is like, maybe they don't have the funds to actually use. I'm not sure how they answer that.
Well, the industry is such a planning industry. I haven't heard anything in particular, but what I would say is, in just thinking about it briefly, is that it takes 2 years to make a whiskey, right? So it takes those things. There's a pipeline to maybe ride out some of the storm a little bit and be able to look at those types of situation on a case by case basis. But I don't think they're good for anybody personally here.
Yeah,
But
interesting. And then Zachary, thanks for so he wanted to say hello to everyone. He's the CEO and founder of Global Giving. Do you work with nonprofits? So he helps actually with the education of clean water, economic empowerment, and environment conservation in Uganda. I mean, is that something? Is that something where Promolytics could help with that?
absolutely, let's talk. I'm not sure. I would need to know more about what you want help with and where you want to go with it. But yeah, for sure. Absolutely, let's talk.
Yeah, he said, yes, Lisa, helping the next person achieve is a thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I also love the Lisa, you just did something that I do all the time. And I know Sam does. And I don't even know if there's a question on it, but I just love calling it out because everybody in the comments section I know is the exact same way. But you'll get that, and it happens to me every week. Sometimes it comes from an introduction with Sam. Sometimes it comes from somebody out of the blue, and they'll be like, "Hey," I mean, I got one the other day. One of the brand owners I work with was like, "Hey, could I introduce you to another brand owner friend of mine?" I'm like, "Sure. What do they do?" They go, "Dill pickles." Yeah, you know my world beverage, right? They're like, yeah, no, I know, but would you be willing to talk to him? I'll talk to anybody. I might not be able to help, but I'll talk to anybody,
Right,
right?
right.
Yeah.
There's a brand called Pickle Shots, I think. It's there you
Yeah.
go.
Oh, there
Pickle
is.
juice
Oh,
is
yeah.
a beverage, Jeff says. And then Jeff calls out Athletic Brewing Mexican is unreal good. So that's his drink. So thanks for sharing, Jeff. So we'll wrap up. So I want to give you some closing thoughts as well as Adam, and then I'll close it down and ask you both to remain on the line when we hang up, and hopefully we won't go live while we're rolling.
Well, again, thank you for having me on. And I hope that I was clear in letting everybody know that we are definitely engaging with the alcohol beverage industry, but also CPG, and we're willing to talk to whoever. If you think it makes sense, let's figure out if it does make sense, for sure. We want to help people be more successful in a specific way so that you can catalog your wins and your losses, so that next time you can plan better and operate better, more efficiently. Now the world way is talking about tariffs. You have to be as efficient as possible in today's world, and that's what we hope to help you do.
Yeah, you take the unpredictability and put predictability in the world.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Perfect. I might turn my tagline to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think my closing comment, and Lisa, it's been great getting to know you. Thank you for coming on.
Thank.
I'm going to pull out a percentage from the website because, again, I've been clicking around as we've been talking. I'm both shocked at this number and I'm surprised it's not higher. 43% of it is straight from one of your pages on the website. 43% of marketing dollars are spent without measurable results. As an ops person, if 43% of anything was spent, period, somebody's coming to ruin my day.
Right.
I'm a
Let alone-
founder, by the way, and cash burn is real. I can't see what I spent my money on. Stop spending the money and go talk to Lisa.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I both believe it and I can't believe it's not higher based on some of the experiences I've had with certain brands. And so I think, I'll just echo your point of, even if, let's play perfect world scenario, even if, working with Promolytics doesn't drop that number from 43% to zero, even if it drops it to 20%, you still just had a 23%, return on your investment, which by any financial standard is good money, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are amazing. Those are amazing stats, Lisa. I mean, the stats that are ringing with me in closing is the 6% social media, and the millions of people that spend the millions of dollars that people spend on social media, 6%, and then 30% for email, and then it goes up to over 50%. For the QR code. Talk
Yeah.
about bringing predictability to unpredictability to your investment, right? At the end of the
I
day, look, at the end of the day, best tagline ever is you can't afford not to have us. I will leave everybody with this, is that if you're not taking advantage, and by the way, there's another 10% on the line if you actually use Bev Assets or mention us for that.
yeah.
And this is not a commercial, by the way, but it is. We bring people like Promolytics on the line weekly, and these are tools that you can invest in as a brand without breaking your bank. And look, I would say we'll give you the information to get in contact with Lisa one more time as we close. How do they get in touch with you?
At promolytics.net, or you can reach me on LinkedIn and connect.
Okay.
Just Lisa Fagan.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody for joining us Saturday. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but that's how we roll. But that's what makes it fun, right? At the end of the day. And we really appreciate you, Lisa. Really appreciate you coming on. And as always, Adam, thank you for a great partnership on Drink Up.
Ditto. Super fun. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.